another Samurai Sunday. So I was going to do this last week, but decided to do the leg gaiters because I got them done. So what do I have to this Samurai Sunday? We have shuriken. Now, shuriken is basically a general name. Most people think of shuriken as one of these. This is not a real throwing star. It's just a showpiece. So, shuriken means hidden hand blade. Okay? Because that was the whole point. You could hide it in the palm of your hand. That's the point of them. So that's what shuriken means. They do have a Japanese name for throwing stars. And they're different, made differently. They have multiple points. They have 4 points. They have 3 points. They have 5 points. So they can be variations of things. Some were made out of like washers, have a hole in the center, and then we cut grooves in it. Now, we normally affiliate these with ninjas, throwing stars. From my research, it's just mine, there's really no evidence saying that they heavily use throwing stars. Doesn't mean that they didn't. This a lot was samurai's arsenal. Supposedly they said if you're really good you could almost disembowel somebody with one of these. I don't know about that. But they would target exposed areas. Your eyes, your face, your neck, your arms. They would even use them in battlefields, on the battlefield. So they even have a special schooling, shuriken jutsu, that teaches you how to use shuriken. A real famous one, besides throwing stars, is a bow shuriken. So it's basically a rod with a point on it. Now this one has tassels on it, on the back end. Some had double end that was pointed, a lot of them just single end. But with these, you could palm them, and you couldn't see that somebody had them, and you kind of basically throw them like that. You'd hold it like that and then throw them. It's a no spin, basically. Would do some throwing with them, but the weather's shit today, so won't be going out there. And I'm not very good at throwing. Now, Cold Steel makes a spike, throwing spike. It's a pretty good size one. John over at Addicted Blades 2 has one. He's a heck of a thrower. So if you want to see anybody who can throw something really good, it'd be him. But samurai would carry these. Now this is, and they have a little pouch a lot of the times. They come in 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. This comes with 5. Has a cheap little pouch. You can strap it to your arm. So they would have these either inside their kimono sleeve, because there's actually a pocket inside those. So you can store stuff, because you don't have any pockets. Or they would have it on their arm, up above the sleeve, or if their kimono had a pocket sewn inside, they would put them inside there. They would also dip poison sometimes on the tips, or put in animal feces to create tetanus, which creates another highly infectious disease. Or they would bury them and put fur around them and put them in conspicuous places that somebody would be walking by that would scratch you or whatnot. And the reason why they would bury them too is so you'd step on them. Now, a bow shuriken is basically a misguidance, misdirection, or distraction weapon. Pretty much. Could you hurt somebody with one of these? Oh yeah, if you're a really good aim with them. Would it kill somebody potentially? Probably not. Unless, I mean, you got him in the eye or something. Or right here. I mean, you got to be a heck of a thrower to do that. And in the midst of things, if you're in a battle, you're really not going to do that. You're not going to be able to get that accuracy because it's throw it real fast type thing. So there's different variations. We all seen, I think it's pronounced kunai knives we see, which I'll be getting a set of those. Those actually are not throwing weapons, believe it or not. And when I get a set, I'll get into that. I just don't have a pair of them. Another form of shuriken are what we call caltrops. They have another Japanese name for them too. Going to be getting some of those. But not just Japanese used them. Roman Empire used those caltrops. And they're very effective. Because if your castle or fortress is getting overpowered, you could potentially take the caltrops, throw them on the ground, so when they broke through the doors, they would step on them. Because some of them aren't very big. Some are only like that, overall about that tall. So they're real tiny, but enough to go into your foot. And they would put poison on those too. So even if you got in there, you were poisoned, you probably didn't even know it. And then you would die a couple hours later or so. Or die very slowly from infection. So those are all known as shuriken. Anything that you can hide in the hand, like so, would be shuriken. So these are pretty neat. I played around with these a little bit, and they fly really good. They really, really do. Whether or not this helps this end piece, I don't know. It's a matter of opinion. But they're very simple, very easy. Some historical ones actually did have this. Little tassels, real shorter, went to right about there up, for throwing. So yeah, this was also part of the samurai's arsenal. They would carry around with them. If you haven't seen the movie Red Sun, it's with Charles Bronson. It's a Western. I forget the Japanese person's name, but he's famous for doing samurai movies. He's also in it. He plays a samurai, takes place in the West, and he does use these bow shurikens. And the cool thing about it in the movie is, because you don't see this, especially nowadays, when he uses them, he has a little pouch like this, and they tuck inside his kimono. He has a little pocket in there, and he puts them in there. But when he uses these, he goes back and it shows him pulling them out from the people who he killed with them, and then put them back in the pouch. So he has them again, which would be kind of accurate. If you were able to retrieve your bow shuriken, you would do it, because that costed you money. They just didn't make it willy-nilly for you. Because something like this, and especially like this, swordsmiths would make. Okay, so they just didn't make swords. They would make stars. They would make the rod for bow shurikens, stuff like that. Anything had to do with samurai weapons, they would make. So it wasn't, because round rod just wasn't laying around. Not like nowadays. You just didn't go down to Lowe's and get a piece of 1/4-inch round rod and sharpen one end. That didn't happen. So you had to go somewhere that had it. So they have their swordsmiths make them a set. It's very simple, very quick, and it's a certain length. It's about 6 inches, the sharpened end. So they're not high-tech, but it's all about length. You want it kind of balanced, and this, the back end kind of weighs down because of that, but it's not bad. And these are on there pretty good. I mean, you can't move them, so it's nothing fancy. It's just to help it in flight. Like some of you have seen, Throwing Stars has a hole in the center. Actually helps it with flight. So, and they would make stuff, if there was a piece of metal laying around that had a hole in it, they would sharpen it, because it was easy access to get it. But something this elaborate like that, they would have a swordsmith make, and then it would be cleaned out and sharpened and whatnot. So that is shurikens. Throwing knives, it would be another one. There's various ones out there that they would use. Some had a flat, wide blade, so it didn't really look like a kuni knife. It looked more like a leaf. But they'd be thin. Some of them would be that thin. So that's the thickness of that. And that was the whole point. They were cheap to make, and easy to sharpen. Because this would be kind of a disposable weapon per se. Not really, because it still costs you money. So if you could retrieve it, you would retrieve it. A lot of times you didn't. And this one is kind of hard to just show. It's kind of hard to hide it in your hand. So there'd be, some were actually smaller, 2 inches. Like I said, it was misguidance, distraction. But yeah, anything small like that we carry on them. Kind of like the jute. Jute's a non-lethal weapon. Kind of. You can probably crack someone's skull with one, but they would tuck it away inside their kimono too, so people didn't know they had one, unless they're collecting taxes, and they'd be on the outside to show their status. But these are kind of neat. These are just off of Amazon, so not very expensive. But I'm going to be getting some caltrops and kune knives. There's so many out there. It's just trying to find ones that look good. And kune knives varied in length from 6 inches to 12. So, I mean, it's kind of funny what they were actually designed for. So as soon as I get kune knives, we'll talk about that. I've got a new sword coming. Be here this coming week. So it is from a company I've already bought from before. I like to try and get 2 from the same company, see if quality changes or anything. So we'll see. But that's all I have for you guys. Hope everyone's having a good Sunday, and we will see you later.